All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to get our hands dirty and dive right into the engine room of Salesforce Service Cloud. We're talking about omni-channel routing. It's that whole system that makes sure customer requests get to the right person at the right time. And look, really understanding how this works, that's the key to building an amazing, super efficient customer service machine.
Have you ever really thought about it? A support case pops into the system, and somehow, out of maybe thousands of agents, it just finds the perfect one. How does it do that? Is it some kind of magic? A lucky guess?
Well, as you probably guessed, it is definitely not magic. The entire process, the whole thing, it all comes down to the secret life of two really specific, really powerful Salesforce objects. They're working together behind the scenes, and once you understand what they're doing, the magic completely disappears. And what you're left with is a clear, logical, and honestly pretty elegant process. Okay, so let's meet them. Let's meet the unsung heroes of omni-channel routing. We are going to pull back the curtain on the two objects that make this whole system tick. We're talking about pending service routing and agent work. The best way to think about this is to imagine a really busy restaurant kitchen. Okay, so a new order comes in, right? The kitchen printer spits out a little paper ticket. That ticket, that's the pending service routing, or PSR for short. It's a temporary request. Its only job is to get the order to a chef. Now, once a chef grabs that ticket and starts cooking, the assignment gets put up on a main tracking board. That is the agent work record. It's the permanent assignment. So simple, right? PSR is the temporary ticket, and agent work is the permanent record that tracks the job. So let's get just a little more official for a second. The PSR is what's called a transient object. And that word, transient, that is everything here. It means it's not meant to last. Its only job is to hold all the important info, like priority, required skills, which queue it's in, while the system is actively looking for an agent. It's here for a good time, not a long time. And then you've got its partner, agent work. This object pops into existence the second the system finds a potential agent. This is the official link between the work item, whether it's a case, a chat, whatever, and the agent who's being asked to take it. It tracks the status of that specific assignment from the moment it's offered all the way until it's finally closed or handed off to someone else. Okay, so now that we've met our two key players, let's actually follow them on a journey. We're going to trace the entire life cycle of a single work item as it moves through the omnichannel system, from the very moment it needs a human to the moment an agent is actually working on it. Now, this whole journey is perfectly laid out for us. This state diagram you're looking at, this is our roadmap for the next few minutes. I know, it might look a little complicated at first glance, but don't worry. We're going to break it down step by step. We're just going to follow the path of our little work item together. So everything kicks off right at the top. When a work item is created or maybe pushed to a queue that's set up for omnichannel, the system immediately starts the routing process. And what's the very first thing it does? You guessed it, it creates a brand new pending service routing record. Our temporary ticket is now officially in the system, waiting to find a home. Okay, next up, the system does its thing. It's looking at which agents are available, what their capacity is, if they have the right skills, and bam, it finds a match. The instant it identifies a potential agent, it creates a new agent work record and sets the status to assigned. This is the moment the work is officially offered to a real person. And here we have the happy path, right? The agent sees the request pop up and they click accept. The second they do that, two things happen. First, their agent work status changes to opened. And second, and this is so important, that temporary PSR record is deleted. Poof, gone. Its job is completely done, so it just vanishes from the system. But it's not always that straightforward. The agent has a choice to make, and that decision creates a fork in the road for our little work item. So what happens if the agent doesn't accept the work? Or what if they accept it but then need to transfer it to somebody else? So at this crossroads, there are really three different ways this can go. Path 1, they accept. Like we saw, the PSR gets deleted and work begins. Simple. Path 2, they decline, or maybe they just don't answer in time. In that case, the system reuses the existing PSR to go find someone else. And path 3, they transfer the work. This is different. It actually creates a brand new PSR to start a whole new search. Let's look a little closer at that decline path. So if an agent hits decline, or maybe they go on break, or the request just times out, their agent work status gets updated to something like declined or unavailable. But look at the PSR. It doesn't get deleted. It just gets recycled. The system puts it right back into the routing engine to find the next best agent.
It's efficient, right? It just reuses the ticket. Now let's compare that to a transfer, because this is a key difference. When an agent transfers work, their original agent work record is marked as transferred. But then look what happens. Instead of reusing the old routing ticket, the system creates a totally new PSR. And this makes perfect sense when you think about it, because the routing rules might be different now. Maybe it needs to go to a different queue or look for a whole new set of skills. So this brings us to a really practical point. We've seen that PSRs are temporary. They come and go. But agent work records, they're not. They stick around. And this has some really big implications for things like reporting and just general system admin, because you are going to see these records in your org long, long after the work is actually finished. And that persistence leads to a question that honestly trips up a lot of admins and developers. When you're digging through the data, why do you so often see multiple agent work records for the exact same case or chat? It can be pretty confusing if you don't understand the lifecycle we just walked through. Well, the answer is right there in the journey we've been following. Remember, every single time a work item is offered to an agent, a new agent work record is created. So if a case gets transferred from agent A to agent B, that's 2 records. If an item gets declined by 2 people before the third person finally accepts it, you're going to have 3 agent work records. It's basically a complete audit trail of every single routing attempt for that piece of work. Okay, let's bring it all home and close the loop on this whole process. We've followed the journey from beginning to end, we've seen the different paths it can take, and we know how our 2 key objects work together to make it all happen. If you only remember one thing from all of this, please make it this quote, which comes straight from the official documentation. The PSR record is transient, whereas the agent work record sticks around until it's explicitly deleted. That single sentence, that is the heart of the entire routing lifecycle. One is a fleeting request, the other is a permanent log of the assignment. So I'll just leave you with this question. Now that you understand the secret life of these 2 objects, you know when they're created, when they get reused, and when they disappear. How are you going to use that knowledge the next time you have to troubleshoot why a work item isn't going where you expect it to?